Good morning at Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And we do have a personality, and we have an excellent perspective. We're going to jump right in. We're not going to fool around this morning because we have our guests that got some really interesting information. But first, I'll give you one quick kudo. The Gleason family at large. Last night, we brought in the honor flight again, and we had Gleasons in every shape and form down there from the Elkhart area to welcome back Richard Slip Gleason. He went on that honor trip yesterday, and it was really neat to see that family and friends. And they all had red T-shirts, and it was really a fun thing.
Yeah.
And he had a huge crowd, just a huge crowd down there, and it was, again, a wonderful experience. Jim Grimaldi was the guardian for his grandfather, Jim Moriarty. Jim finally just condescended almost to go, because I'd been after him for a long time, and I'm sure glad he went, and I think he had a good time.
Can I say something too?
May she say something? Yeah. No, okay.
Not today. Well, this week, this very week, the day after the big paper came, was the 70th wedding anniversary of Jean.
No, 65. Don't make it any worse.
No, it was 70.
No.
Well, I should be the one who doesn't know.
1949 from
Do the math while I talk. Anyway, happy anniversary. 65 is still good.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Get right down.
That was the day after the big paper.
Yeah. Get right down. We have an interesting guest this morning.
Yes, we have. And we're lucky to have him.
Yes.
In this town, we're lucky to have him.
Absolutely.
Richard Sumrall has the library in beautiful downtown Lincoln. And they have so many services. And just before we came in here, Richard was saying that this is being a banner year for the library in their transactions with the public.
Correct.
And I was a bit surprised, as I said, because of the technology. I just wondered, every time I go into the library, I wonder what it's doing to you.
Yeah.
But it isn't bothering you, is it?
No, business is booming for us. This community really
Richard, pull that microphone forward to just a little bit for you, sir.
Right about there?
Yeah, I think that might work.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Business is booming for us. The community really supports the library. We've incorporated these new electronic services that you can get through our website, but we still have a high emphasis on books, DVDs, large print, that kind of thing. And all of our circulation is up. We have more people coming into the library to check things out. We have more people coming in on our website to check things out there. And barring some sort of drop-off here by the time we get to the end of June, which is the end of our fiscal year, we should have our biggest year of circulation ever. I expect us to be somewhere around 125,000 items checked out, and of course we check them all back in, so you're looking at about 250,000 items going back and forth in a year, and we're proud of that, but it's in large part to the people in the community that support what we're doing. We're always looking to add services and respond to the people's needs and desires, so of course I'm available at the library anytime for anyone who has any recommendations or suggestions.
I came in there one time, this was a few years ago, and I asked if you had any examples of a lease, a property lease for renting out an apartment, as it turned out.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course you did. And by golly, you led me right to it and showed me the book and showed me the pages that had the examples and so forth. And I think there's an awful lot up there that we don't even, I mean, I just went up there on a flyer thinking, oh, well, maybe, you know. And here, sure, of course you did.
Well, that's one thing that we're trying to get across to people. If you've got a question in your life, a concern in your life, a problem, please stop by the library. We have so many different materials. We're so much more than, you know, the children's books and the new John Grisham book and that kind of thing. we spend a considerable amount of time developing our nonfiction collection so that people who have those kind of issues, your question, looking to improve their resume, get a job, keep from getting their house being foreclosed, a medical issue, can come up and explore the collection with our help and get the information that we have for them.
Emphasis on with our help, because you do. You're so helpful there.
Well, we've really got a good staff right now.
Yes, you do.
We have a really good reference department that takes it very seriously that every question should be answered to the fullest and no one should walk out without some kind of information, no matter how difficult the question might be. So we take the job very seriously, obviously, and getting the information to people is at the top of our list. We really want to do that.
That's because
I'd like to
you
spend it.
lead by example, Richard.
Well, I try,
Yeah, he
but
does, absolutely.
I have a very good staff, very dedicated. Got some employees that have been there for a long time. Really take to heart the need to help people in Lincoln and Logan County.
Then they just go out and efficiently go about their job.
Yeah.
You know, outside the studio, Richard and I were talking about the history of our library. And as a boy, when I was a young man, as a little boy, I used to go to the library a lot. In those days, you'd ride on your bicycle. Your mommy didn't take you down there.
Yeah, right.
Or you walked or took your bicycle. In any event, I remembered the librarian was Ida M. Webster. And you were referring to when she started, Richard. Take us through that just a minute, please. A little history.
Sure. Well, Lincoln has an incredible public library history going back to 1877 when a
Think of
group
this.
started one and put it in one of the Presbyterian churches here. By the 1890s, the public library had moved to a portion of City Hall, and that's when Ida Webster became the city librarian
Think
in
of that.
1894. So she was actually the city librarian 8 years before the Carnegie Library was built. So when that library was built, we had the grand opening in 1903. She became head librarian, and she was the head librarian until the 1940s. So
Oh, my.
she has an
Dear.
extraordinary part in the library's great history, not only the foundations, but getting it to where it was by the 1940s. So it's an incredible history of public library service and the understanding by people in this community that far back, just a few years after the end of the Civil War,
Yeah.
that Lincoln needed a public library for its citizens, and they made it happen.
By the way, she enforced the silence rule, too.
Yes.
So did Mrs. Cressy.
Yes.
Miss Cressy.
So
won.
I have heard.
And then I read, in kind of doing a little research before today, I did not have any cognizance of the fact at all, but libraries appeared before Christ.
Yes.
Now, think about that.
Yes.
Think about that.
Mhm.
And the other thing you think about is these people that sit there and transcribe this stuff laboriously, hour after hour after hour. Those things just didn't appear on the shelves, you know.
Sure.
So that's the amazing part of human history.
Correct. Once you established alphabets, writing, that kind of thing, you had to store all of that knowledge. So you go from stone tablets to papyrus to handwritten books, and when the printing press was finally invented, that's when it all took off.
John Gutenberg ought to be getting royalties today.
Yeah, yeah,
Every printed word, for goodness sake.
yeah.
It's an amazing history fact, though.
It really is. It really is.
You have special groups that you cater to, too. I was talking to Jean Gossett, as a matter of fact, yesterday,
Mhm.
and she was talking about being able to get the books on tape, because Jean is vision impaired. She
Mhm.
belongs to the low vision group.
Correct.
And she appreciates those books on tape so much.
Yes, yes. That's one of our biggest, most important services that we have. We have a very good large print book for people to check out. But when you reach the point where it's difficult to read the print, we have a very large book on audio collection so that you can listen to the books. We also partner with the Illinois Talking Book Program. We can help people get signed up with that. And the best thing that we offer is, now that we're in the Illinois Heartland Library System, we're part of the largest library consortium in the United States. So when you go to our website and use our card catalog, you're actually using one of the largest online card catalogs in the country. So if you need that large print book or that book on audio, and it comes from a library in Alton or some other place in the state, you just do it all on the computer. It's sent to our library at no cost to you. We contact you, you pick it up, use it, bring it back, we send it back. It's a service we provide. So we do, it's called interlibrary loan, and we do a lot of interlibrary loan for our patrons.
That's wonderful. It used to be that the library here was affiliated with Rolling Prairie.
Rolling Prairie, there were several library systems in the state. Budget concerns, we all know we have budget concerns in Illinois, forced the reduction of systems. There's now basically three, the southern half of the state, the northern half of the state, and then I believe Chicago Public, because of their size, is their own system. But we're still able to borrow books from everybody in Illinois without any problem. But in our library system, you can just do it on your computer at home. 1, 2, 3 click, and the item is on its way, and you're just waiting to hear from us. We can call you, or we can notify you by mail, or we can notify you by email now.
Well, I hate to admit this, but the truth of the matter is,
right in front of God and everybody.
right in front of God and everybody, I am technologically impaired. I mean, to the max.
We're working on that.
Well,
we're working on that.
You are working on my being unimpaired, but I'm not working on it too hard. So if I came up there and ordered something, I just bet dollars to donuts that somebody up there would be glad to help me get in the computer and order that.
Absolutely.
Sure, you could take your Kindle up there, and they'd show you how to load it on there.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be happy to do that, and we have a computer right there at the circulation desk that people can use to order things. We have one in each building, so no, we'd be happy to do that, because we really are encouraging people to use the online card catalog, because it is so colossal in size. There's so much information on it. By the time that you think about every public library in the southern half of the state, it's an enormous amount of information, and we just want people to take advantage of it.
By the way, Richard, I think it was, Judy, that we should note that Richard and his board are to be commended for the work they did in maintaining the structural integrity and the historical part of the library when they dismantled that entrance stone by stone, step by step, literally, and rebuilt all that, and did the necessary work underneath it in the foundation. Did a great job. Took a long time.
Yes.
But things done in haste are not always done well.
Yes.
I just think that was a great step that you folks took in maintaining the structural integrity of that building.
Well, I appreciate that. The board takes that responsibility very seriously. We think it's the most beautiful building in the county and one of the most beautiful in the state, and we're very proud of it. But the building, it's the first time that it had been cleaned and scrubbed down, so there was a lot of years of wear and tear on there. It's absolutely beautiful now. But those steps were a real problem, and when we pulled them out and realized that some of the foundations under there had crumbled, we knew we had to do something. They were taken out step by step and put back exactly in the same place, so it's the same arrangement as when the building was built in 1902. And we've had numerous compliments from people who go up and down the steps through the front door, how much easier they are than the multi-level kind of thing we had before. So I appreciate that. It took a lot of work, but it was worth it.
Well, unfortunately, Judy, sometimes, not always, there are younger people who have appreciation of historical things, but the older you get, the more appreciation of historical things you have.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a fact of life.
It is.
And I was just delighted to watch that and see how it progressed and so
Yeah.
forth.
Well, I
and
appreciate
it was a
that.
great
Thanks.
job. Let's step across the alley for just a minute in that nice new, would I call it just simply the children's section?
Well, we call it the
Yeah.
annex.
The annex.
The children's entire
Emphasis on that.
services over there, but that's also where the adult fiction, the large print, the audiobooks, the DVDs. So there's
Yeah,
a little
you
bit.
have a lot of DVDs.
Many people, though, refer to it as, the children's building, and that's fine.
that's not
with
so,
us.
really.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
much more
Uh-huh.
in there, and they're getting geared up for the summer reading program. It'll be here first week in June. We'll start up, and they're getting the place ready for that already, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, yeah.
You always have an extensive
Yeah.
program for summer.
We've got a big one this year. It's called Pause to Read. We're doing animals. So we've got a number of different animal acts and science acts that will be coming in on the Thursdays. The kids love the animals, and oddly enough, the creepier the animals, the more that they love it. So
Yeah, oh, yeah.
when we
Yeah,
bring the
figured.
snakes and the lizards, and the year
Yeah.
we brought the alligator, oh, they just loved it. So we're bringing the creepy crawlies in again like we usually do, and they'll have a great time with it. But yeah, we've got a big program planned this year. We'll be unveiling the T-shirts this year. They look beautiful, great colors, so that'll be a surprise that we'll be bringing out to let everybody know you meet that reading goal, you get that free T-shirt, and that's what it's all about.
Now, do you get your creepy crawlies from a zoo, or where does one rent a creepy
He's got a
crawly?
room downstairs.
Well, Miller's Park Zoo
yes.
will come. And then
Henson's,
there are
or Henson Robinson, I
companies, companies that do different children's shows. They travel all
I
across
see.
Illinois, and we're aware of them in our Illinois Library Network kind of information. So we will contract out to them to come in. So we'll do different animals and insects depending on what they have for that particular show. So yeah, there's people that do that for a living, and it's good.
Is there a fee for the kids to belong to this program?
No, everything is free. We take care of the fees. We take care of the cost of the T-shirts. We do have extraordinary support from the Lincoln community, the business community, who make donations, and we list everybody on the back of the T-shirts. We were worried about that a few years ago. We just started that because we do the T-shirts, we got the logo on the front, and then we were going to put that on the back, and we weren't sure that the kids and the parents would like that. Well, you have to have that on. They love that.
Sure.
That's their favorite thing, that everything is listed on the back. So
To read it all.
to read it also. Businesses make donations, help with the T-shirts. I mean, it's an expense, and we have to cover it, but it's essential that we give the kids an enticement to come in during the summer and participate, and that T-shirt does it. So the businesses that pay get listed on the back, and it's a tremendous help. The business community has really come through for us to help with those T-shirts.
Thank God.
Oh yes, it's been wonderful.
Richard, I'd like to ask a question about the so-called bestsellers list that come out all the time on new books and so forth.
Yeah.
Did that list have any impact on demand for books at our library?
Yes. We post the New York Times bestseller list every week, and we mark in color what we have and what we have on order. And basically we get everything, because as soon as it hits that list, then these people go on TV. They're on all the talk shows, they're on the variety shows, and they're announced as New York Times best-selling author so-and-so. And then people come in and say, I saw this woman on TV with this new book, do you have it? So we've learned to watch the New York Times bestseller list and the Amazon top 100
Interesting.
bestseller list. That's where people go. And we try to anticipate from those lists what people will want to read. They don't always want everything, but they do end up wanting most everything on there. And that helps us. It kind of gives us a heads up on, what people are going to be looking for, what's popular, what's, honestly, what's controversial. The Duck Dynasty people put out books, and they're on the bestseller list, so we get those. And we all know about all the most popular authors and the new author that will come up and be a surprise hit. And that's how we find out about these things. So, yeah, we depend on that bestseller list quite a bit, both of those lists.
And you can, if the book you want, whether it's on the bestseller list or not, isn't in the shelf right now, you can always reserve it.
Yes, you can reserve any book. We will do that for you, or you can do it through your own personal account when you go to our website. And we do want everybody to know that because some authors are so popular and we get 30, 40, 50 reserves on there, we always get extra copies of those books. You won't have that long to wait, we hope. We belong to a book rental program, and so when you have 50 or 60 holds on a James Patterson or John Grisham book, well, we get several copies of that book. We've gotten as many as 8 copies of a book. Then when everyone's finished with it, we keep our permanent copy and send all the rental copies back, and so we get a big discount on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do I understand, Richard, that if, for instance, take to be a book, The Lone Survivor, which was a gripping thing,
Yes.
incredible story, that I could order that on sit at home on my computer,
Yes.
and order, and when it came in, then you would notify me.
Correct. That's
Boy, what a
part of the
service.
beauty. Yeah, that's part of the beauty of this system. We will assign you your little 4-digit secret PIN number, which is just your personal identification number. And once you get that, you just log on to the card catalog. You type in your library card number and your PIN number, and you're now in your account. You can search the system, reserve whatever you like. You can set up your own reading list so that when you want to go back later and get things brought in. And it's just an incredible service. Do it at home. We contact you by email. Come by and pick it up. You're on your way.
I suspect it's safe to say, Richard, that when you have, quote, a vacation or free time near the community, that it would not be unusual to see you visiting other libraries.
Oh, I love to along the way. Yeah, I love to.
That's a busman's holiday.
Well, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I love to, because you want to go in and see what other libraries are doing, because so
That's
many
exactly
places
what I
have so
thought.
many different ideas. And, it's a great way to pick up new services.
Now, the library is the Lincoln Library.
The Lincoln Public Library District, that's correct.
That's right. And part of your taxes, if you look on your bill, go to support the library. However,
Which is
people
pretty cheap.
People out of town
Yes,
can also get a library card for a fee
for a fee.
because they don't pay for it through their taxes.
Correct.
But I think you could buy at the bookstore about 2.5 books
Yes.
for the price of a library card, which would entitle you to all the things that you've been talking about, Richard.
Absolutely. When you buy a non-resident card, it's $82 a year. That's not even $7 a month. You are entitled to all of the privileges and rights that any other card holder has, including everything through our website. So you have access to all the e-books, the downloadable audio books, our new downloadable magazine service. You are entitled to everything. And you can walk out on your first visit with 3 books, 2 DVDs, a couple of books on audio, and a half dozen children's picture books, and you're gonna be walking out with a lot more than $82 just on your first visit.
Oh my, yes.
It is the best deal imaginable, and we certainly encourage everyone who is not within the city limits, which is our boundaries, to consider coming in and joining us and getting a non-resident card. We love getting people their non-resident card, and we think it's important that everybody in the county has a library card. There's 4 public libraries in Logan County right now besides Lincoln, Mount Pulaski, Elkhart, and Atlanta, and we will honor their library cards at our library just as they will honor our library card.
And in a different vein, that little the whistle stop over in Emden, the young lady did that, Kathy. That was her own little passion.
Yes.
And it's wonderful for that community to have that little facility
Absolutely.
over there.
Even if you can't join the system or anything, they're doing a wonderful job over there. They've put a lot of hard work into it, and the collection that they really have some great things for people to read. So anything in any little community helps. But these 4, we all belong to library systems, so we're on the computer, and we're able to go back and forth with each other. But no, we encourage people to come in and look at us and think about getting a non-resident card. A lot of people aren't aware of this, but if you live outside in the county, but you happen to own taxable property in Lincoln, you've paid your tax, you come in and get your card. There's no other fee. So if you have a rental house or something like that, but you live in Emden or someplace, you'll see us listed on your tax bill. Bring that in and come get your library card. You don't pay anything else.
Now, if you do live in the county and decide to get a library card, would that allow me to bring my children to the summer program?
Sure.
That would be included.
Absolutely, and we encourage that because you're going to have a hard time finding those kinds of services at no further cost to you, anywhere, and we really would like to see more people do that. But yes, that's one of the services that we offer. So we're offering a lot. We have a lot to offer. We continue to grow. We're always interested in people's comments, concerns, suggestions about new services, how we can be better, how we can improve. That's what we're all about.
Another little service that you offer the public is over there in that little corner of the library, newspapers from around the area, and you have regulars come in, and they can pick out the Champaign News Gazette. You don't get the Tribune anymore, and that's not worth any much anymore anyway.
Well, we
do
do
get the Tribune now?
We do. It's just that it's late coming. The Tribune closed all of its distribution services, so it just comes through the regular mail. And the mail service does a good job getting there as quickly as they can. But a lot of newspapers are trying to get you to go to an online, and we're not going to do that with our newspapers. We're going to get the physical newspaper.
Yeah, people like to go in there and sit down and pick up paper and take their time perusing it.
Well, we've got a nice collection. We, of course, besides Lincoln, we get Springfield, Chicago, Peoria, Decatur, Bloomington, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Agra News, those kind of things. So, yeah, you can come in and pretty much get Central Illinois or statewide. We have daily readers, and it's one of the services we enjoy offering. Don't want to tinker with that. Got a loyal, devoted following to that.
Do you still have the availability of newspapers from the days of yore that can be found on the computer, and you can roll them up somehow and find your great-great-grandfather's obituary or whatever it is you're looking for?
Yes, we actually have the Lincoln Courier on microfilm back to 1859, and it is one of the most popular services that we have. We had a wonderful new microfilm reader printer machine for people to look and then make their copy. It became so popular we had to buy a second new microfilm reader printer machine. There's someone always looking at the Courier up there. It's great for the old obituaries, marriages. Sports events are a big thing.
Sure.
When people were engaged in sports. People do a lot of research on old buildings, historic events. It's an extraordinary treasure trove. The funny thing about working with the Courier, you'll be looking for something and you'll come across something entirely different that you had no idea. So we were doing some research on there once and came across the fact that John Philip Sousa did a concert in Lincoln in his heyday, and we had no idea that he had ever appeared in Lincoln. He did a concert, and we came across that while we were looking for something entirely different. So,
Was he in the bandstand in front of the library?
no,
do
I
you think?
think he was in one of the buildings, maybe one of the theaters that were here when some of those theaters were much larger. I think the Grand or one of those at that time, but those are the kind of things that you find out when you use the Courier. It's an incredibly popular service. We encourage people to come by and take advantage of it. It's great for school projects. Kids like to use it, especially when they have the project, what happened on the day you were born? Well, come look at the Courier and find out.
Right.
I found, on a personal basis, that you better be able to devote some time to start doing that. I was helping at the genealogical place, and I was filing away obituaries. I found by the end of my day, I wasn't getting much filing done. I would spend most of my time reading those things.
Exactly.
I'd recognize names and people and so forth from way back, the people that I'd heard about, and I wasn't getting my work done.
Exactly. It's tough to go in there. I'm the same way. When I'm looking for something, I start getting hooked on everything. I love to look at the advertisements because when you see the old grocery stores,
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
the prices.
a loaf of bread was 11 cents and, a half gallon of milk was 59 cents. You start looking at those automobile prices, you lose track in a hurry.
I think that the society pages are such a hoot, too, because Miss Hannah Sadie Smith had tea and crumpets at her house, and, of course, Mrs. Brown came in her lovely lilac-colored hat and gloves, and it's just all so trite. It's just so cute.
It is.
We had the Lincoln Courier in those days, had a society editor, if you please.
Oh, sure.
And her name was Dolly Esders. And she lived in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And wrote that same kind of trivia that you just mentioned.
Exactly.
Richard, you brought some papers with you. We're going to take a few minutes and have a commercial break and bring in Chris Graue for a few minutes that he wants to talk about barbecuing. But before we appreciate Richard's presence, did you have something that you wanted to cover in the papers that you brought with you, sir?
Well, we talked about the summer reading program and all of these e-resources that we have. I just want to mention one last thing.
Yes.
We have a new collection called Fix It Lincoln. We received a grant from Secretary of State White's office and the Illinois State Library, and we were able to buy $5,000 worth of new books devoted to maintenance, repair, service of just about everything that you can imagine. Automobiles, motorcycles, computers, your home,
Really?
human body. It's a great collection. It's over 175 books.
Wow.
We will be promoting that more in the coming weeks, but that is available for people to come by and check out and take home, or use the books in the library and make a copy of the information that they need. So if you've got a question, something is broken, something needs service, you're trying to determine how to maintain or repair something, please stop by, talk to us about the Fix It Lincoln program, and let's see if we can't get you the information that you need. It's a great grant. Secretary White's office received it through the Institute of Museums and Libraries, and we were fortunate enough to get a grant through his office in the Illinois State Library, and we're very optimistic that we're going to get people real valuable information that they need to solve problems in their lives. So stop by and talk to us about Fix It Lincoln.
We
Great.
sure appreciated the presence of our librarian. He's about as much of a gem as some of the books he has in his,
He
his
is.
library.
He is.
Lincoln, Logan County, I'm not trying to stroke you, Richard. You do a great job. We're fortunate to have you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you taking your time. Right now we're going to take a commercial break and let Mr. Sumrall get back to sorting his books back there. And we'll turn the microphone over to Mr. Rash.
Thank you.
Right back live in the studios here at Viewpoint, and we've changed gears. We've switched guests this morning. We have with us Mr. Chris Graue, and
Good morning, Lincoln and Logan County. How we doing?
he has a little culinary feat coming up here soon, and asked for a little time to talk about that. So we're just going to not do any further. Chris, tell us about this new. We have an offshoot of the great barbecue cook-offs going all over the country.
Yeah.
And you brought it home.
Well, we've got. I guess we got an event that's going to happen on Saturday. I was going to tell you how it came about. But
This
I'll
coming
describe-
Saturday now.
Yeah, this coming Saturday, May the 3rd. We've got 10 local barbecue teams coming to the dealership to cook barbecue. They're going to cook chicken and pork loin. And we've got kind of a two-segment event where they're going to turn in samples that the Humane Society is going to serve up called the People's Choice Awards. So for a small monetary contribution that'll go directly to the Humane Society, anybody that shows up can go through and get 10 samples of pork loin or 10 samples of chicken. If you want to sample both, you have to make another monetary contribution that, of course,
Fair
go to the
enough.
Fair's
Humane
fair.
Society.
Yeah.
But if you go through and get one, I think you're going to get more than you can hold. And then each person, general public, is going to be able to put a ticket in a bucket and be able to vote for which one they like the best. And we're going to have
Popular
a
award.
selection out of the 10 teams, first, second, and third for People's Choice, and they're going to win a little cash prize for doing that. And then we're also going to have KCBS-style blind box judging, where the teams will turn in a lidded styrofoam container with their chicken entry and their pork loin entry to certified KCBS judges to be judged blind like we do downtown. This isn't a KCBS sanctioned event, so what we're doing doesn't count for any points, but we're judging it just like we would at a KCBS contest. And then from that, we'll combine the scores for People's Choice and blind box, and we're going to figure out a grand champion and a reserve grand champion, and we've got some nice prizes for one of those two people that would win.
Now, the hours are going to be.
Well, it's going to start at about 7 in the morning. We're going to start cooking about 7. There's
Yeah.
a cook's meeting at 7:45. And then People's Choice, we've asked the guys to have their entries for People's Choice available at 11. And then blind box judging, chicken turn-ins 12:15, and pork loin turn-ins at 12:45. And then awards will be at 2 o'clock. So the general public, you're certainly welcome to come out anytime mid-morning, because we'd like you to come out. It's a little bit more laid back. It's not quite as intense as what our competition is downtown. So the general public will be able to come out, kind of mingle around the cooks, look at their equipment,
Ask
them
questions.
Mhm.
They
Intermingle with.
make their barbecue rigs, don't they?
Well, some of them do, some of them don't. A lot of them, there's so many good rigs that are manufactured commercially at
That's
this
the
point.
cat. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, she's come up out of her hiding place on the floor.
That's not a product for the barbecue. That's
No.
This is not the Thai kitchen.
We're not.
This modus operandi you're using Saturday, Chris, is that kind of the way that they run in the major cook-offs? For you? I guess I was kind of in the dark about this, but apparently this is a very popular event the country over in various regions. For instance, you go to other contests around in the state and the country.
There's a higher concentration further south. The further south you go, there are a lot more contests. There are more contests up north, but it just seems to be spreading this way. When we started our contest downtown, this will be our 4th year, we had no idea how big this thing would get as quickly as it would. We're anticipating having close to 70 teams downtown.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, with the backyard. Last year's backyard competition was a smashing success. We had 44 professional teams, and we had 13 backyarders. So this year we think we're going to probably grow the backyard by probably 50%. So we're thinking we're going to have close to 70 teams down.
Well, these professionals, my goodness, they bring in some really, really fancy and very, very expensive equipment, rolling stock. It's amazing to me.
Some of these teams cook virtually every weekend from about April until November. They're cooking somewhere almost every weekend because it's kind of like NASCAR. These guys are running for points for the national championship.
Is that right?
Wow, what is this point business? Is there any way you can give us a Reader's Digest version of points?
Yeah, there's, for every contest that they cook in, the number of teams, once the contest, you have to have 25 minimum teams for it to be sanctioned, and once the contest reaches 50, if it's 50 and over, the points for the contest become worth more to KCBS. We've never hit 50, but we're high 40s, so we're pretty happy with that. But every time the team cooks, their score allotment goes into a points fund or a point tally for the end of the year, and then they have a team of the year scoring that KCBS has a national contest at the end of the year. And I think the team that won the national ranking last year was, let me think here. Oh shoot, True Bud, and I think they're from southern Missouri.
Now, is there a fair amount of money involved in prizes for these contests?
Oh yeah, you bet. There was one team that was with us last year, Darren and Sherry Worth. They've hit kind of the pinnacle of barbecue. They won just about everything big that you could last year. And I think they won between $125,000 and $135,000 in 4 weeks.
That'd pay for a lot of gas to go around the country, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, and they won some really, really high level, really, really prestigious contests. Our contest is a $15,000 purse downtown.
Really? Here in Lincoln.
And it's the second highest purse in the state of Illinois.
Now, whence cometh the money to create that purse?
What's that?
Where does the money come from to create that purse?
Well, we're just going to charge it to your credit card. No, actually,
it's okay. It'll bounce. That's all right. Yeah.
It's sponsored by some very generous local businesses. State Bank of Lincoln is our primary sponsor, their executive sponsor. Charlie Lee, Lincoln IGA, and myself, Graue Incorporated, we co-sponsor Grand Champion, Reserve Grand Champion, and then we have Sheedley Trucking, Nichols Motor Company, let me think here, Croft Fertilizer, and Stuffteria Pizza sponsor the categories, and then we have ancillary sponsors underneath that. Cisco's a sponsor. They help us pay for the judges or the cooks and judges amenities. They pay for the cooks meeting or the cooks dinner Friday night that's catered by Gazzardo's, and they also help us pay for a nice judge's gift for the people that come in and judge.
It can't be an apples and oranges thing, though. If you're a chicken cooker, you compete only against chicken cooking people?
Well, at a KCBS contest,
I don't know the technical term, Jim. Now, please.
If you're
forgiving.
If you're cooking at a KCBS contest, you're usually cooking 4 categories. If a cook wants to go and only cook one category, they can do that and only cook chicken, but that leaves 3 other categories that you won't score in. So each category is worth 25% of the points to get you to Grand Champion. So at our contest, KCBS sanctioned contest, they'll cook chicken, ribs, brisket, and pork shoulder. So there's 4 different meat categories that they're judged on.
Well, to paraphrase Rose Stein, Gertrude Stein, charcoal is a charcoal is a charcoal.
Not necessarily.
That's why okay, go ahead, take it from there for a minute.
My personal favorite's Royal Oak. We have kind of they're a sponsor of our contest, but I've tried the different charcoals side by side, and Royal Oak is by far the best. I really, really like Royal Oak charcoal. They're a major sponsor for our event, but they have a superior product, and it really makes a big difference what you use.
What do they do that Kingsford doesn't do?
I think they use less filler, and they use more the wood. The actual fuel is more concentrated in their product, so there's less ash and there's more heat. And
now, how about the lighting of the charcoal itself? Do you just turn up your nose at people who pour
That's a way to get it.
On it?
Well, no. Everybody has their own opinions and their own liking. To tell you the truth, I don't even have a bottle of lighter fluid just because I've got a propane burner. I've got a propane burner on the front of my big cooker. I've got a Weber kettle that's got a gas starter on it, so I just start it with propane instead of lighter fluid.
How plebeian.
I thought maybe you rubbed two sticks together.
Well, if the scouts were doing it, we could sure do that.
Well, we find that obviously, the backyard cookers are everywhere, but you have a number of local entries at this at the annual during the Balloon Fest
Well,
cook-off.
yes, and everybody, the contest that we're having this weekend, I decided to do it an invitational, and one of the requirements is that the cook had to have either participated in our KCBS event, the professional level, or backyard. So everybody that is cooking this weekend at the dealership has participated in one of those two events.
So they all belong to the KCSB, or?
Yes.
Okay. Well, how about that? I guess I can't come and make my famous blackened ham then, huh?
Well, if you want to,
I guess the price of beef kind of precluded the use of beef for this weekend. So.
sure. Well, we chose, I've had some questions why we chose what we did. Well, how come you're not doing ribs? Oh, brisket's my favorite. Why aren't you doing that? Ribs are really, really expensive, so we decided that we try to shy away from that for this weekend. And brisket and pork shoulder take a real long period of time to cook. Those are 12 to 14-hour cooking times, sometimes as high as 16 to 18 hours. Okay. We wanted to make it a fun event. The guys could show up. They'll bring their equipment Friday night. They'll start cooking Saturday morning. Pork loin and chickens, a relatively short cooking time, 2 hours time, 3 hours time. It can be pretty well done. So we wanted to make it a short duration. We didn't want to tie the guys up overnight. And cost was a factor involved too. Chicken and pork loin is relatively inexpensive, and we wanted to make it a reasonable event for the guys to participate in. We're not charging any entry fee for the cooks. The dealership is paying for all the meat. We're supplying charcoal to them. We wanted to make it an invitational contest where it's kind of our treat for them to come out, because one of the reasons why we're doing it as a business is we want to stir traffic and draw people to the dealership. So hopefully, I've been watching the weather forecast really closely, and it looks like the window of sunshine is going to be on Saturday. It looks like the temperature is going to be good.
Yeah.
So,
well, someplace for people to go on Saturday.
And you should go there and talk to those people, because if they can cook something for 18 hours and it isn't a piece of shoe leather, that'd be worth learning.
Sure, you bet.
Well, bumped into Chris the other evening. He was kind enough to offer his dealership as an open house for the chamber and co-sponsored by the Rotary. And we got visiting about this. And he asked for a little time to talk about this. And we appreciate the fact that our studio manager, Mr. Ash, has accommodated us by allowing us to run over just a little bit. Chris, thank you. Let's review once again the time on this. And then I have a closing quote that I want to make about libraries. Go ahead, sir.
Cook's meeting at 7:45. People's Choice, benefiting the Humane Society, is 11 to 1. Chicken turn-ins at 12:15. Pork loin and turn-in is at 12:45, and then the awards will be at 2 o'clock. If anybody does want to come out and talk to the cooks, it really would be better if they came out 9, 10 o'clock, because the closer it gets to 11 o'clock to 12:15, at that point it's kind of game on, and the guys are going to get really serious about getting their entries turned in. And when you see these entries, which I hope that some of the general public are able to view them, they're really truly a work of art when they get done, because the appearance is 25% of the score.
Well, bring your camera and your eyes and your ears, folks, and
there you go.
We'll see you at Graue Chevrolet, Graue General Motors Agency. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Since we had, you're more than welcome, sir. Since we had Richard Sumrall discussing libraries, Walter Cronkite said about libraries, and I think this is very telling, and he's exactly on target. Whatever the cost of our libraries, the price is cheap compared to that of an ignorant nation. I think that pretty well says it all. Thank you very much for Viewpoint.